People wake up on a normal day and suddenly something happens that changes their lives completely.
Pediatric trauma call, 15 minutes.
A lot of really bad things happen to really good people, but you never think it's going to happen to you.
Stabbed 5 times, including chest, and he's got an arterial bleed from his leg.
High-speed RTC moped into a wall.
Jesus Christ, what happened? You all right?
I love my wife.
Any reception, can I help you? Yeah, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I love that question. What's your opening hours?
St George's, London, one of the busiest and most advanced A&E departments in the world.
Complete baloney amputation of her leg.
I can't breathe.
He looks frail, doesn't he? He looks like somebody who's going to break. I think it's going to be one of those days.
A place where life...
Darling, what's for dinner?
Love...
It's still as beautiful as ever.
We have a boy.
and loss
Don't make me cry.
unfold every single day.
And they said there's nothing they can do.
All the patients you're about to see were treated in just one 24-hour period.
You don't know how lucky I am to be talking to you right now.
We see situations where someone's life has just been turned upside down. People always try and remember what the last conversation was, or the last words that that person said to them. And I suppose it's so much nicer if the words that they remember are, "I love you."
Nights in Barcelona for 179. I reckon that is the most crime-infested place you could go to, Barcelona. If you're not robbed, it's a miracle.
Oh, I've got to turn the heating down here. So
apparently it clicks on at 9.
No idea. It was...
The air conditioning comes on at 9, apparently.
It was flipping boiling overnight. Like, it was horrible.
I had back sweat all day on Sunday. Moving around.
Daryl is the nurse in charge of the A&E department today.
Often the comments I get from patients is when you go into a patient and you say, "Hi, I'm Daryl, one of the nurses," and they're like, especially the elderly patients, like, "Oh, are you training to be a doctor?" Like, no, I'm a nurse. "Hey, but you're going to be a doctor at some point." No, I'm a nurse. This is my job.
Yeah, just in that cubicle there, 12B.
It's always the first dig that you get being a male nurse, that you're doing a girl's job and, you know, you're too in touch with your feminine side. Suggest that those people come and spend a night in A&E and see if they can handle it. I doubt many of them could.
Adult thrombolysis call in 12 minutes. Adult thrombolysis call in 12 minutes.
They could come into work and within half an hour it could be in the middle of a massive trauma and not really predict what was going to happen, and that's what I enjoy about emergency.
George's recess. Yeah. Hit by train. Eurovasc. Yeah.
A 60-year-old railway worker is being brought to St George's by helicopter after being hit by a train travelling at high speed.
Bye, thanks. Adult trauma call, ETA 10 minutes.
Okay, he hasn't been
Trauma call's going into 5. Hello, can I have the helipad response team to the helipad, and can I have an adult trauma call to A&E recess? Yeah.
Hit by a train?
Hit by a train.
A train?
Yeah. Can I have the nurse in charge to recess, please?
When you hear that sort of rumble above the building of the helicopter landing, the atmosphere is tense, you know, the adrenaline's running, because you just don't know what you're going to get. It kind of gives you a feeling that the patient's that just sort of next level up from your average trauma call. And it tells you that the mechanism of their trauma was very significant.
Have you got a number for the neuroanaesthetist? Yeah, would you be able to fast beat them to resus, please?
People hit by trains generally don't get to us because that's never going to end well. If you're hit by a car, it's a bad enough result. Hit by a bus, that's another thing. But hit by trains, yeah, that's right at the top of the list. You might as well just have a plane land on top of you because the chance of you surviving that are very, very rare.
Halfway round.
Okay, can we have blocks back on?
Ready, brace, slide. So this is Alan. He's 60 years old. About 90 minutes ago, he was working on a track and was hit by the protruding front step of a train going at 90 miles an hour on his right arm, spinning him around down a steep, rocky slope. His GCS has been 15, pupils 4, equal and reactive, and moving 3 of his limbs, but not his right upper limb. He's got a right open compound mid-shaft humerus fracture with neurovascular deficit.
Thank you very much. Airway? We're happy with the airway?
Yeah. Airway entry is good. Okay.
There's certain things that in trauma that are going to kill you really, really quickly. So that's why it's time critical.
Okay, trachea central.
You have to be really on the ball to identify them because if you don't treat them immediately, then that patient will just die in front of you.
As it goes in, we can all step out and get the CT done.
His left pupil is larger than his right.
He's not on the cardiac monitor.
It's pretty grey and it's very cold.
I think it's just because he's shaking that much.
We need to warm him up.
Keeping people warm in trauma is one of the hardest things to do, and it's also one of the most important things to do.
I think it's just too cold, isn't it?
Yeah. If you don't have that warmth, then your sort of outcomes further down the line are always very, very bad.
What was he doing on the tracks? Was he working?
He was working on the tracks.
Blood pressure of 153 on 105.
It's never more present than in the emergency department how life is completely out of your control. And until you spend any sort of length of time in any A&E, you don't really appreciate how fragile it all is and how quickly it gets taken away.
60-year-old Alan was airlifted to St George's after being hit by a train while working on the track. He needs an urgent CT scan to determine the extent of his injuries.
Breathe in and hold your breath.
My dad was a very traditional dad. He was always working late, come home. Mum would cook and clean for him, and you know, he was a typical old school dad. When I was younger, he was always at darts Monday nights, Super Leagues. He had a darts tournament where he played Jockey Wilson in a charity tournament, which he beat him and actually won his darts, which was signed.
Does he have pulses peripherally?
He's got a warm hand, but I couldn't feel pulses.
My dad worked for the railway for around 30 years. He'd done very well, going from nothing and then working up his way right up to manager at the end. And I know all his team used to get on really well with him.
You know what, I just think it's just disrupted and then very minimal blood supply.
Alan's scan has revealed he's suffered multiple fractures and loss of blood flow to his right arm.
Without circulation, that limb will die. Blood supply contains oxygen. Oxygen's needed to keep that function in that hand working, and if you lose that, then it will just die over a period of time. And the same with nerve endings. If you lose it somewhere, you lose it forever.
Alan's son, Kevin, has arrived from the scene of the accident 20 miles away.
I was at work and my dad came up on my phone as ringing, And it was actually one of his colleagues that was on the other end of the phone. And he explained to me that my dad had been hit by a train at a high speed and that he, you know, I needed to get there basically as soon as I could. It was pretty horrendous, the scene. We weren't allowed anywhere near. They managed to get him down and into the helicopter where I got to see him for a minute or so.
Hi, see
Hi there.
And you can tell it's fine. So Dad was, I understand, working on
On the rail,
railway
yeah,
track.
that's right.
Essentially, he's broken his right arm up there, and obviously it's an open fracture. And he's got both the bones in the forearm are broken. The blood supply looks like it may be disrupted as well.
Right.
It's probable that his nerves are injured as well.
Of course.
I don't know whether he will lose his right arm or not.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
we'll
to be hit by a train.
I know, at 90 miles an hour,
Yeah,
to come
to
on
keep
with
away from
just
it. Yeah, of course.
limb injuries,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Thank you.
To plan an amputation is one thing, but to have it happen to you as a sudden traumatic event is something that people could spend the rest of their lives trying to come to terms with and accept, as well as the family around you having to come to terms with it.
Why do they need some wee if I'm just got a bad back?
For the kidneys.
Oh. Fair enough. Don't want any more of this.
No. You're eating it with your piss hand.
I washed them.
Oh, you're touching it. Oh, come on, baby.
5-year-old William has been brought to St George's by his mum, Amanda.
Hiya. So my name's Ashling, I'm one of the doctors. Nice to meet you, William. So what's happened?
I stuck a bead in my ear.
A bead. Good idea, good idea. Should we have a little look, mister? Right, what I'm going to use is these little magic things which help me grab things, OK? Very gentle, won't hurt you, and I'm going to see if I can grab this bead. All right? So if you lay nice over there...
But is it sharp?
No. Feel that. That's the end. Does that hurt? No, it doesn't, does it?
But you won't just push it right in?
No. And I think I can get it out if you keep really still.
Darling, please try and keep still.
Ow!
Oh, darling. Did it hurt, William? OK.
Will you let the doctor have one more go?
No.
It's a horrible feeling. I've had them put in my ear before, and it's just like a peculiar sensation. But he's had a bead sitting in there for 5 days, so he's probably getting a bit used to something odd sitting in there. Bear with me, and I'll come back in a second, OK?
OK, thank you. If you let her have one more go, I'll take you for a big piece of cake or an ice cream or whatever you want.
No.
Darling, please.
It hurts too much,
But they're gonna have to, darling.
I don't want it to come out.
It's got to come out, darling. You can't live with a bead in your ear.
A 63-year-old man has arrived at St George's after falling down the stairs at home.
Thanks, mate. Oh dear. What happened to you?
Right, so this is James, 62 years old.
Yeah.
He remembers feeling dizzy at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
Went down, lights out. Woke up 7:30 this morning in a substantial amount of his own caked blood.
Mm-hmm.
Ex-partner came in about 5:45 this evening, saw the state of him, and called 999. Complaining of some loss of strength in his arms, and there is a significant laceration to the forehead.
Oh, OK.
Some damage there. Other history, CA prostate bone mets with a terminal diagnosis.
They discovered that at Christmas.
Your prostate?
And subsequently, they did a bone scan and found it had just got out.
Into your bones?
Yeah.
Had a couple of vodka and oranges last night.
Fine.
But that is not unusual for him. He does drink substantially on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Although not dependent. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
It's just a punch up between you and the wall, isn't it, my friend?
That's right, yeah.
OK, James.
Right, I'm going to go and book
We'll get you sorted out. Thanks, mate.
When I first found out that I had cancer, it took me several weeks to get over the thought that I might die of it. And then I met someone who was 14 years on from being diagnosed with the same thing and seemed perfectly okay. So I'll probably die of something else first anyway, so who cares, yeah.
Tell me about your hands.
I haven't got any grip.
No power?
I mean, if you look, well...
You go and squeeze as hard as you can?
It's
I can open your
well,
grip.
I can't really hold the glass to you.
And before you fell?
Oh, it's fine. This has
No
never happened
problems.
to me before.
Is it both arms?
Both hands.
Both
yeah.
hands.
Yeah. My grandfather was incredibly wealthy. They had a massive house with a snooker room, a library. They had fresh flowers in every bedroom every day, which they grew themselves in the garden and were picked every day by gardeners and, well, servants.
You lift your arms up, kind of make chicken wings like that. No strength at all. And down?
I don't know what happened to all that wealth, though, because it wasn't passed down to my father.
Just have a look at these eyes of yours.
Oh, look.
Hello.
Hello.
You see the light all right?
Yeah.
How many fingers?
3. Sorry.
No, good. That's all right.
I never wanted to go to boarding school, ever. That was forced on me by my father as the proper thing to do because it made sure you had responsibility for everything. I thought it made me rather irresponsible, to be honest, because there were so many rules that you had to break them.
And try and pull your ankle up to your bottom. I just want to see how strong that is.
One day with 3 friends, we crept out on a Saturday night and went to a pub. But my voice hadn't broken, so I used to put on a very deep voice, and that seemed to work. You know, pint of special, please.
OK. So you're a little bit weak there as well, I'd say.
Yeah, what's happening?
Now I'm going to be brave. I'm going to have a look what's under here.
Oh, ow.
OK, we're going to need to soak that off. I'm going to leave all that there for now because it's not bleeding. And we will need to take it off and give it a clean and close up your head. You've got a big wound there, probably at least that long. James, what we need to do is scan your head and your neck, OK? And we'll sort you out.
I shouldn't really, but I want a Pringle.
Do you know the first vending machine was created in Roman times?
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was
Didn't know
used...
that. What used to come out of it?
Holy water, yeah.
Wow. I would have been around the wine one, probably not the holy water one.
I've just basically got this child down in Pediatric A&E. He's got a white bead in his ear since Friday. It's obviously there. I mean, I can see it. He just let me have one go and then got quite distressed.
Are you going to let her have one more go? No.
Yeah, I had it on the Crocs. It's just he's a bit wriggly.
I'm not going to let her have another turn. I said a no, so it's a no.
OK. If you let this doctor have another go and she gets it out, which she will do, I will take you straight to the toy shop. You can have the biggest box of Lego. OK? What do you reckon? Deal?
Deal.
But she has to get it out, OK?
But when she comes back.
And then after we've been to the toy shop, we'll go and get some cake. No? Do you want cake? Hot chocolate? Milkshake?
I want to have another turd.
You're not going to do it?
No.
Well, then we don't go to the toy shop.
Do we have one more go or not?
I think you should, darling. The doctor said she could get it out.
Doctors and his mum have been unable to persuade William to have the bead removed in A&E. He has been referred to a specialist ENT team.
So are we going now?
We're going and we're coming back a bit later.
Will I get a new toy?
Once it's out.
Railway worker Alan is being prepared for emergency surgery on his damaged arm.
Is it painful what we're doing in your hand, Mr.?
Sorry?
Can you feel what we are doing now or not? Can you feel the touch or nothing at all?
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
A team of orthopaedic and vascular surgeons will try to restore the blood flow to Alan's arm. If they're unsuccessful, they might have to amputate it.
If you've got a limb that's affected by a vascular compromise, by a neuro compromise, by a break in the bone, by a bone sticking out of skin, you're going to need every speciality you've got. And every minute counts. If the limb doesn't have any blood flow for so long that the tissue had died, then the only option is to try and save the rest of the body and to find where the blood flow is healthy and take the limb off from there.
Right, darling, could I have a list of your medical problems?
Where do we begin?
We'll start at A.
And I suppose elderly ladies do suffer brittle bone.
Not so much of the elderly.
The left elbow is still in use, eh?
Yes.
Good evening, George's Resus. Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much. Bye. Adult priority call, ETA 6 minutes. 94-year-old female with chest pain. Blood pressure 74 and heart rate 113.
94-year-old Betty has been suffering chest pains and has fallen unconscious in the ambulance on the way to hospital.
Blood pressure's what, 74? Yeah. Who is this lady?
I think this lady's going to arrest. They've just brought in from ambulance.
Right, so this is Betty, 94-year-old female, claiming a 3-day history of tightness.
Yeah.
Complaint of dizzy spells today.
Right.
Does have a history of postural hypotension. Blood pressure has been 80 over 32.
Yeah.
GCS was initially 15 on arrival.
Okay. So she deteriorated like this en route?
Literally, simply
Just you got in here, so she was talking.
She
and
was
then
GCS
bang.
15, literally since the trolley got onto the ramp.
Okay, fine. In regard, is this from a nursing home? Or?
No, lives alone.
Lives alone, fully independent, as far as you know.
As far as I know.
Okay. What's her name?
Betty.
Breathing spontaneously and breathing well.
That's good. When she came in, she was ashen white. She was unresponsive. She was barely moving. She was breathing and she had a faint pulse. And she was what we would describe as peri-arrest, i.e. she was very close to having a cardiac arrest at that time, and I was extremely worried about her then.
Blood pressure's cycling.
91/70.
Sugar's okay with you?
Yeah, 8.4.
And where was she describing this chest pain? How was she
Central
telling?
kind of chest.
Right.
Non-radiating.
What are you thinking, James?
I don't know if she suddenly had a bleed or something on the rib. It's a bit more strange to suddenly drop her GCS. Family know she's here?
Yes.
Okay,
As a young lady, my mum was athletic and she enjoyed her sport and she was vigorous in everything she did. One of the companies she worked for had sports days and she used to do the hurdles and she used to do sprint. And she was a very, very quick runner. One day we were there and she clattered down on the track and hurt her knee very, very badly. She was carted off to hospital to have it attended to, but she always used to refer to this as a war wound for years and years afterwards.
You want to call cardiology or get her into a scanner first?
I think we should scan her first, yes.
Fine, okay.
The elderly with any aches and pains or illness is a really complex problem. Just because they're pain in the chest doesn't mean that the problem is in their chest. It can be from their abdomen, it can be from their pelvis, and it can be from their chest. She's had a chest pain and she may well have gone through...
proximal.
Or she's infarcted her ventricle and she is...
got like a rupture.
Ruptured her left ventricle. So we have to keep our mind open to lots of different types of problems before we can find out what the true problem is.
Sorry.
Having got to 80-odd, my mother was told she ought to use a stick. Makes you feel old using a stick, she would say. And invariably you'd find it folded up in her handbag and you say, Mum, where's your stick? Well, I've got it with me. I said, yes, but you've not got it with you and you're not walking with it. She said, oh, I don't need it. It makes me feel old.
Get a scan, see what her CO2 is. It could be CO2 narcosis if she's always had a good pulse. Oh,
awake.
Hello. Oh, hello. There you go. Hello. Almost as quickly as if she went off, she's woken up. Oh, that's good. Lactate's up at 6, base excess -8. Maybe she had a little seizure or something that knocked her off all of a sudden.
I must admit, I was surprised how quickly and how miraculously she did rally, literally just with some fluid and some oxygen. Betty? Hello, Betty. You're in hospital, darling. You're at St George's Hospital. You've had a funny turn. Does anything hurt, darling? I'm a doctor. My name's Will. And there's lots of nurses. We're looking after you here. You've just had a funny turn.
What place?
Well, you just went a little bit unresponsive.
Hey, I'm hospital.
You're at St George's Hospital.
I'm all right.
Yeah, are you all right?
Yeah.
You must have just had a little snooze. You scared us all.
James, I'm just going to do a blood test on you, OK? Just see if anything's been going on that caused your fall.
Retired engineer James was found at the foot of his stairs at home with a deep cut to his head and weakness in his limbs.
So do you remember what happened when you woke up then?
Well, I remember is getting dizzy at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
And then waking up. And that was at 10 o'clock at night. And then waking up at 7:30 this morning in a pool of blood.
Gosh. So you didn't call an ambulance then?
I couldn't get up off the floor.
So you stayed on the floor?
I stayed on the floor.
Oh, bless you.
Oh,
sorry.
That's all right.
You've just got quite a lot of dry blood on you, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Right, you going to be ready for a sharp scratch?
Yeah.
Come in now.
Oh, God, that was worse than usual.
Oh, you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, oh, that was the best cannula I've ever had my whole life.
Well, it wasn't.
You meant to lie to me then, James. Make me feel good about myself.
I'm sorry.
Well, you've got a corker of a black eye, I'll tell you that much.
Yes, so I've been told. I used to take pride in my appearance. I mean, I suppose largely it was for the girls.
Let's start with the easiness.
I was a bit overwhelmed when I left boarding school because I hadn't really met any women before, and then suddenly there they all were. Feeling very pampered. They congregated a bit around me, which I was always flattered by.
Imagine you are in the spa.
In the spa, yes, it's a bit... going to do my pedicure next.
We are doing your nails now. Massaging your hands.
If it's getting too much, just say.
It wasn't hurting. I was looking at your lovely green eyes. I have no idea what they saw in me. No idea at all.
James is being taken for a scan to discover the reason for the weakness in his arms and hands.
I was married for 10 years to a very nice lady. But it just gradually fizzled out. We weren't really thoroughly enjoying each other's company anymore. I've never married again.
You've not met the right woman.
No. No. Not yet.
Betty, hello. I'm Shona. I'm the nurse looking after you. Nice to meet you.
Betty has regained consciousness, but doctors still need to determine the cause of her chest pain.
I think we'll scan her head. Did you see it? Yeah, she's really, she's a really big raised JVP. I just thought it'd be worth just getting a quick chest measure and that's saying silly.
Betty's son and daughter-in-law have arrived in resus.
Hello, I'm one of the A&E consultants. Hi, nice to meet you. Do sit down. We're just at the beginning, really, of finding out what's on. So we're going to scan her head just to make sure there's nothing gone on inside her head, a stroke or a bleed or something in her head. And then, obviously, you can come in and sit with her once we've just sorted her out.
Betty, take a nice deep breath in. And out. And again.
My earliest memory of my mother is the day my father and mother split up. I was about 3 at the time, and we were living in Plymouth. And they had a big argument, and he left the room, and I, unfortunately, as he slammed the door, got my fingers shut in the door. My mother and my father tried to sort out their differences, which obviously they didn't do because they went their own separate ways. Although it must have been difficult for her, she did pick up the pieces, and it probably made her strong because she had to be.
Gonna take you around for your scan now, OK? All right, we're coming with you, don't you worry.
Betty, your son's outside, OK? He's just going to get something to eat and then he's going to come and sit with you, all right?
She did a lot for us as kids, my sister and I, and being parents ourselves now, we know what she gave up. We knew that Christmas times was a struggle, but she always made sure we had our paper sack at the end of the bed Christmas morning. What a strain it must have been on her to have made sure that, you know, we had food, clothes and the rent was paid.
Cheers. All right? Yeah. Just relax, don't worry.
You all right?
She'd always say, right, I want you home by 8 o'clock. And if we weren't home by 8 o'clock, she was out looking for us. God, did we get hell. Then you didn't realise what it was all about. But you felt really bad because all your friends were there when you were getting this earwigging from your mother, who'd come out down the streets looking for you, take you home, and you didn't feel very grown up then. But however, she cared, didn't she?
"60-year-old rail worker Alan was hit by a high-speed train 8 hours ago. Surgeons are now battling to save his right arm.
Knowing that he was working on the tracks and stuff was quite a daunting thought. I knew it would be very dangerous, but I never actually thought he'd ever be involved in any kind of accident like that. And the whole world turned upside down from then on. They said they'd do the best to, they're going to do the best to keep his arm and things like that, they said, because there's a bit of damage inside it and everything, so. Well, Christ, I mean, you don't really come out of things like that, do you? I mean, when I first got that phone call, Christ, you know what I mean? Especially after last year. But, yeah. The day I got the call to say my dad had had an accident was a shock, as it was 10 months pretty much to the day that we had found out that my mum had passed away.
How did your dad manage?
Like the rest of us, really. All of us were pretty much numb for a long time, you know. Still am, you know.
With an open fracture, you'd have to worry about the bone alignment, the really small arteries and veins, they will all have to be put back together. It's just a long, long process, and it's always really difficult. There's a limit to everything. You can't perform miracles. Sometimes technology is just not there to do the things that you want to do, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just that things are too far gone to do anything about.
Look, we did the scan. Yes. Your brain's okay, but you got a little fracture just kind of in your eye socket. Your neck's not broken, but you've got some swelling on your cord, and I think that's causing the problems with your hands. And this should be temporary.
Right. Hopefully. Good.
So our Max Fax and ENT doctors are going to come and have a look for your face and your eye. OK?
Yes.
And I'm going to speak to our neurosurgeons about your neck.
OK, good.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll just relax.
Yes, relax.
A specialist nurse practitioner has been called to assess the wound to James's head.
Sorry. Put you in sleep tomorrow and do it in theatre.
On a general?
Yeah. When you wake up, it will be everything done.
It's all stitched up then?
Yeah. Just I'll put a few stitches to hold the wounds together.
Yes. And then you put in lots of
Under
little fine
septic-
stitches.
Yes, very fine stitches.
Yeah.
We call it like cosmetic stuff.
Because I don't really want to have a scar if as little as possible. I haven't wanted to get older, really.
Lift your head up for me.
It's scary when you see old people and what they can't do and shuffling around, on Zimmer frames. I think to myself, oh my God, imagine being like that ever. Oh. And then I think to myself, oh my goodness, I'll be old one day. I hope I don't become one of them.
James will be transferred to a ward and will have an operation in the morning to close the wound on his head.
The older we become, the less capable we are of repairing and being tolerant of injury. When her bloods came back, it was apparent that Betty had had a large heart attack at home, probably in the preceding day or two.
During her CT scan, Betty's condition dramatically deteriorated.
I've just got no pulse there. It's gone, it's gone. Bless her. Time of death.
2042.
Thank you.
Come and sit down.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. She's passed away.
No.
There's no easy way of saying it. She was very comfortable. She went round to the scanner, and as we took her off the scanner, she just took her last breath. I'm so sorry. I'm not hardened by giving bad news or blasé about giving hard news. It's just a really important part of the job. And in my experience, families really appreciate honesty and straight talking.
She looked peaceful. She hadn't suffered. She just took a gasp and was gone. And I thought, well, I know it's probably a weird thing to say about your mum. I thought, well, she had a wonderful life. And she had a wonderful death.
All right.
We said it's there, really.
Very peaceful. I'll be there 2 seconds. Our job in an emergency department is saving lives and making people feel better, but also part of our role is to allow natural death. And in those last minutes, hours, days, our job as doctors and nurses would be to ensure that that patient is kept comfortable and is not distressed in any way, and to communicate with the family and relatives is really important, really important.
After 10 hours in theatre, surgeons have managed to restore some blood flow to Alan's right arm. It will be several months before they know if the operation has been a complete success.
Over the last year, since my mum passed away, me and my dad came closer than we ever have been before. We didn't really spend a lot of time together before then because we were both working and providing for ourselves and our families. Mum always used to dote over the grandkids in and out the garden with them, making little potions, everything like that. And I think that's one thing he's kind of knows that she always had to go at him a bit about, you know, while they're here, you shouldn't be laying on the sofa, or while they're here, you shouldn't be going to work, you know, things like that. And I think he thinks he owes it to her a bit, I think. That's kind of brought us a bit closer together, closer than we ever were when I was a kid. But, you know, he's not an emotional guy, or I don't think he'll ever get an I love you out of him anyway.
The bruise that's on my forehead at the moment happened 3 days ago, and it's got nothing to do with my original fall. I fell over and hit a wall again.
Gotta stop doing that.
I've got to stop doing that, yes.
you adapting?
I like to think really good, I think, myself. Obviously, I still can't use the arm too well, but I've learned to do things with my left hand, which I never did before. As long as I can hold a pint in my hand, I'll be all right. Could have been a damn sight worse. You know, what I could have lost. You know, family, grandkids, and my son. You know, he took everything for granted before. And it's not till you have something like this that you realise and appreciate, you know, what you got, really.
She was happy when she was providing. That's when she was at her happiest. Or doing things for other people. She was always pleased to go around the church and do the dusting or do the washing up. She'd always help, and she was happy, at her happiest doing things for others. And that's really how she lived her life. God bless her.